isn't then being used for stabilization. But it's a really good point that you make, and it's a good point that you make about just taking that moment in between movement, in between exercise, just to tune in. How did that particular movement feel like? How does your body feel when you've done that particular movement? But again, having said that, there's nothing wrong to go from one movement to the next movement. You don't have to take that pause between each of the movements as well. So great stuff. Write all of these questions down. Come back to me with them. If you're just joining on Facebook and YouTube, good morning. Welcome. If you're joining on Instagram too, Wednesday morning. So we are going to be focusing a little bit more on our movement, on our strength, our flexibility, and mobility, and a little bit of stretching. So we're going to start off with a little bit of a shake. And I really want to, moving on from what we touched on Monday, if you're at the breathwork session, is that idea of fascia and elasticity, so that we're not just tense. We can often hold a lot of tension where we don't necessarily need to hold tension, or we can be a little bit saggy where we need to have a certain amount of tension. And bearing in mind that tension doesn't necessarily mean bad, as in stress is not necessarily mean bad. You can have good stress. These words we tend to think of as negative. Oh, well, I'm really tense at the moment, or I'm really stressed at the moment. But actually we need tension and we need stress. So just very gently shaking the body out, tapping the heels into the ground, just breathing gently in and out through the nose. Freeing up the shoulders, making sure the shoulders are just moving up and down. Not actively moving the shoulders, but just letting them be free. And then just slowing it down, slowing the movement down, making sure we're nice and solid and supported on the ground, and then just very gently breathing in and breathing out, just to slow the breath. Let's move into knocking. Connected to the ground through the feet. Soft in the ankles. So notice the rotation through the ankles. So the feet are connected to the ground. Soft in the knees. Moving from the center, lengthening the spine, lifting and lengthening through the spine. Just relaxing the shoulders between the shoulder blades. Hand that swings across the front, just bring into a light fist. So we're tapping top of the chest, on the pec muscles. long point. And then cupping the hand, get into the shoulders, driving a little bit more from the center. Back to chest. Back to belly and back. Slowing it down gradually. Into water waves. And then just take a moment, just standing, opening from the shoulders. And then keeping the knees and ankles soft, just raising arms above the head. And as we raise the arms above the head, keep arms raised above the head, I want you to think of lifting this upper back here. So I'm not just doing this, I'm lifting the sternum, I'm opening up the front of the chest. I'm here, and then I'm just letting go. Just let the knees bounce a little bit if you need to. And again, lift and look up, lift from there, open up, let go. Lift and let go. Lift, using the spine, lift and let go. And one more, lift and let go. I'm not falling forwards on that let go. I'm just letting go and bouncing a little bit. So then we'll do a little bit more of a drop. So again, lift. And as you let go, just drop and come up and drop. I'm not throwing myself down either. I'm just lifting and letting go. Lifting and just dropping. Couple more. And take a rest. Have a little shake out if you need a shake out. Shaking out the legs. And then back to your shoulder width. Little bit of dog wags the tail. And slowing down. Again, just take a moment just to let the breath settle. How the body feels. Have a little move. If you feel any tightness and tension in the shoulders, if you need that, just a very gentle shake out. Have a little shake out. And then we're just going to go back or into that comfortable feet width, shoulder width apart. Just do some very easy tiger squats. Doesn't have to be too deep. Just go with that flow of movement. Nice steady pace. Just breathing easy, calmly in and out through the nose. If as you start to get that little bit more range of motion, you feel like you want to go a little bit lower, that's fine. But again, we don't want to be forcing, pushing, straining. And if you need to take a rest, feel free just to take a little rest. Again, it's not a competition. It's can you keep that effortless flow of breath and ease of movement. If the breath starts to change, if you start to feel as if you have to hold the breath or you start to get out of breath, just take a little rest. Take a little rest if you need to take a little rest at the top, and then you can go again. If you need a little rest but want to keep going, just make the movement a little bit smaller. And then you might want to go a little bit deeper again. Play around with it, just play. Just a few more. And then let's take a little bit of a rest, have a little bit of a shake out. Shake your legs, let the breath settle. Let's do a few pulling downs, breathing in, breathing out, just centering ourselves again. If you need a slightly fuller breath, you can take a slightly fuller breath. You just want to let that breath go, let the breath go. Let's play around with that elasticity. And this is really, really important when you think about, if you watch someone moving with grace and ease, there's that sense of fluidity. And we're focusing on this all the time when we're focusing on our flow movements, is there's that fluidity without rigidity. So quite often, and particularly as we maybe get a little bit older or we get a little bit more painful in the joints, a little bit stiffer, everything can become a little bit stuck. So we want to have another little bit of a shake out, free up your shoulders, free up the hips and the legs. And I think of it like a baggy t-shirt. If your t-shirt's really baggy and this t-shirt's getting a bit old and the elasticity's going in the neck and stuff like that. So we don't want our body to become like a baggy t-shirt. That sounds horrible, sorry. But we don't want to become like a baggy t-shirt. So think about the fascia which connects the muscles, the ligaments, the tendons, and the organs throughout the body. It's not just muscles, it's not just ligaments and tendons. There's a fascia. If you chop a piece of meat or if you cut like a chicken breast, you can see that fascia connecting it. So this is what we're sort of like working on at the minute, rather than just thinking of doing strengthening the muscles. So what I'd like you to do is just come up, lifting the heels just about an inch off the ground. So just balancing on the bubbling spring, which we've done before. And then just make sure the upper body is free. So I'm not holding loads of tension here. Can you free up the upper body a little bit? Can you maybe push? Maybe have a little bit of a swirl around, but don't fall. If you fall, you fall. That's absolutely fine. You can drop back onto the heels. So just balance, bring the shoulders down, lengthen from the crown, and start to do a little bounce. So just very little bounce, and notice that I'm not doing raising the ankles and lowering the ankles. I'm not doing any calf raises or anything like that. I'm almost like keeping the ankles and the heels in, or the ankles in the same place, and just doing a little bounce. Imagine if you had like a tennis ball and you're just bouncing it. So it's nice and inflated. If it's flat, it'll be flopping on the ground. So we're just doing that little bounce. Making sure we're not rigid like this, that we free up. So shoulders stay down, we lengthen through the crown. And again, same thing, if it starts to hurt, if you start to really feel as if you're overloading those calf muscles, take a break. It's not about pushing, it's not about forcing. If you need to take a break, take a break. And then we just come back to this very gentle bouncing. Make sure you lift from the crown. So again, if everything sags down, just sag the upper body down. So just deliberately sag that upper body and notice the difference. Whereas if you keep tall through the spine, if you need to, take a rest, and again, just have a little bit of a shake out. So as long as the ankles are feeling strong and everything feels good, we're going to take that bounce into a little jump. Now be really careful on this again, just to highlight, we don't overdo this. If you've got any ankle issues, I don't want anybody falling over, I don't want anybody breaking any ankles. So just coming up onto the ball of the foot, and then you adjust. And notice that there's a little bit of spring, so you're loading the ankles, you're loading the lower legs. Imagine as a kid I used to have a pogo stick. So you're bouncing on that pogo stick. Nice and quick. Settle into a rhythm. Think of rhythm now. So maybe you're counting in your mind. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. If the calves really start to burn, just take a rest. Couple more little bounces. And then slow it down, and stop. Shake out. Just stand and let the breath settle. Should feel some nice energy running through, particularly in the lower legs. So it's a really good little practice to do for walking, running. But again, don't overdo it. Don't overdo it. We've got to make sure we balance everything with the stretching and the strengthening. Letting the breath settle. And we go back to the tigers. So just when you're ready, taking your feet about shoulder width apart. Steady tigers. Not too slow, not too quick, but think of smooth, rhythmical movement. And hopefully breath is settled now, just effortless. Don't even have to think about how you're breathing. If you feel you want to get that little bit more depth, go with that. If you just want to make it a little bit of a smaller movement, go with that. Whatever feels comfortable, mix and match. Rhythmical movement, easy breathing. Let's do a couple more. And then take a rest. Let's do a different version of the squat. So we're going to go wider. So we're going to go into sort of like a sumo squat where you turn your feet out a little bit more and then you just lower the body down. So you're feeling that stretch there through the thighs. Watch that you're not tilting forwards too much on this one. So if I show you from the side, when we do the tiger, we're keeping the chest lifted, but we're still tilting forwards a little bit. This one, because we're going wide, just lower. So I really want you to feel everything working there and making sure that your knee isn't dropping in. So you're just going down the front there. So wide as you can comfortably, turning the feet out, lowering down, and then squeezing the thighs, coming up, lowering down. And then we can put that little bit of coordination in. So as you lower down and then come up and down. And then maybe we can make it just that little bit more dynamic, a little bounce at the bottom. Again, just take it easy. Don't force anything. Don't push anything. Don't strain. Couple more. And And then walking your feet back into center, shaking out the legs. So one more with the arms and the shoulders, which is quite nice. Again, just a little bit more dynamic. And again, watch there's nothing behind you, so you're whacking anything behind you. Just swinging, letting the hips go with it. Rotating through that center line of the spine. And doing a big walk. Go marching down the street. This is nice to combine if you do a little bit of skipping down the street or around the park. So let those arms swing. Let the lower body go with it as well. Let the hips go. So the hips are coming forwards, softening into the knees, softening into the ankles, and slowing it down. Slowing it down. Have a little shake out. Have a full breath in. Let go. Bringing the palms together, pressing the palms together. Elbows back. Brushing down. One more, palms together, press, bend, brush down, and we'll have a little bit of a shake out. Brilliant, thank you. So as you go about your day today, take off that baggy jumper, take off that baggy t-shirt, think about that, the fascia, that length, the good tension running through the body, where you need to be strong, where you can soften a little bit, and just explore that little bit of natural bounce, absorbing the force as you, even just as you're walking. That's absolutely fine to play around with that. Thanks as always for jumping in. If you've got any questions or anything that you want covered in these sessions, please do not hesitate to contact me. I will see you next Monday for Focus on the Breath. In the meantime, have a brilliant day. Thanks for joining. Take care. Take care. Enjoy.